Welcome to Truth UnCompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I will always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth UnCompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and glad to be back, family. Sorry, I just had so much going on that we had to had to be without you for a couple weeks, so we are back and ready to roll. Actually have a couple of follow-up items I want to touch on tonight before we get into our main topic, which I have been holding for quite a while. So we're going to do a little bit of follow-up before we get into the main topic, discussing. We kind of talked about it before, about the parallel realities and having a sense that our realm has already split to different dimensions. So I have some information about that. And the main topic tonight is called Me, Myself, and I, Balancing the Ego. So we're going to discuss what is the ego, really what the ego is about. We're going to talk about how the ego can get out of balance. We're going to go into extreme cases of an unbalanced ego and kind of go into some of the reasons why an ego would get out of balance and kind of tie it all into what does it all mean to you and how to make sure your ego is balance. So with that said, I am going to bring on my co-host. Let me see here. I think I see Brother Wendell. So let me bring in Brother Wendell. Greetings, brother.
Oh, what's happening? Goddamn, we had a hell of a vacation, ain't we?
I know. Yeah, about a 2-week break. I know. I really missed you all, but sometimes it's just roll like that. You got too much stuff to do. So.
Yeah, things go down, and you have to drop what you're doing.
Right. You got to do what you got to do. Exactly. So how you doing?
Yeah. I'm all right, I reckon. Shit, I got to tell you for some pancakes. I don't know what the hell going on.
You know what? It's interesting because I said tomorrow I might make me some banana pancakes, and I forgot the damn banana. So I might have to go to the store and get me a little banana. But, yeah, I don't know what it is. I really only eat them maybe once or twice a year. So when I have a taste for them, I really have a taste for them. So, yeah, I don't know what that's about either. That's interesting that you say that. So good to hear your voice, brother. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, we still surviving these fake hurricanes.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do a little follow-up on that. I mean, you know what I'm saying. It's just been a lot of shit going on, and we'll discuss a little bit of that, just the entire realm in general, and what I kind of feel is going on. I've been talking about it for about a month, and then I ran across some information to kind of expound on that as well. So yeah, we're going to get into that as well. Okay, so let me bring in Brother Sean. Let me see here. Then I see Sis. Greetings, brother. How are you?
Greetings, beloved. I'm well, and yourself?
I'm good. Good to hear your voice.
How you doing, Brother Sean? You all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, then. Okay, let me bring on Sis. Let me see here. Greetings, Sis.
Greetings, sis. How are you? How's family? Hi. Miss you guys.
Miss you, too. You sound like you were in the tunnel.
She at Walmart. No,
I know.
She at Walmart. She's back in the store there where they keep all the pallets there. She all back there where the pallets is, where the truck is all over the pallets trying to get her fresh off the pallet.
Yes, you sure sound like you like in a tunnel somewhere.
You can't wait for them to put them on the rack. They're ready to put them on the rack for you.
Oh, boy. I know, right? He come out the gate cracking. He done had him some rest to crack the nerve.
He went to the Walmart and so much stuff.
You know I'm gonna go. I gotta get mine in the pack. You know how it goes.
Yeah, stock up on your drawers for sure. Don't be caught without your drawers.
You know, China wants their money now.
Yeah, they can have their money, but I'm going to have my drawers and my water in the meantime.
Y'all are men.
You the one, Brother Wendell. Well, okay, so sis, what you want to do? Because we got a lot of interference from you. So you want to go on mute and then come in when you want to put something on it? Okay.
I'm trying.
Okay. Okay. All right. No worries, beloved. Okay. You just come on in when you want to put something on it. Okay. All right then, family. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So before I go into my little 2 cents, Brother Wendell, did you have anything you wanted to say on these fake ass hurricanes?
Oh, this shit it's crazy. It's crazy the way this shit jumping off. It's just, it's
exactly.
out the chain. I mean, when Harvey and what's the one that hit Florida? When that was going on, it was
Maria.
When those was going on, there was a bunch of them all over the world popping off. They didn't talk about.
Now you know the interesting. part about it, brother, it was this one lady. She was on YouTube. You could go on YouTube and do a search, but she was following the Doppler radar, the actual Doppler radar. And do you know the Doppler radar did not show them hurricanes?
It wasn't showing shit.
Sure wasn't. Sure what? I looked at that lady. I'm like, and then she even pulled them up. And literally showed where the actual official Doppler was not showing these hurricanes on there. So I'm like, you know what?
Right. You know why they wasn't showing?
Why?
You know
why Brother Sean?
Because that next red technology is part of what they use to do this. It's beyond HAARP. It's not just HAARP anymore. It's that next red.
Yeah.
They was in on it. It ain't that they see it. They just wasn't showing it to the people.
Well, I found it interesting. Somebody else had posted recently, which really, really made a lot of sense, that the Hurricane Harvey was definitely a ritual because Harvey stands short for harvest. So bringing in fall, okay?
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's a good point. So I do think in a way that they call themselves manufacturing this stuff. But then on the other hand, once the folks that's in tune kind of peep game, everybody started putting it out there and directing the energy to divert the hurricanes out to sea. And specifically, one of them, I can't remember which one it was, that they were claiming was going to hit. And, I know for a fact a bunch of people were putting the energy out there to divert it back out to sea. So it's interesting what's going on. Of course, it has a lot to do with distracting everyone from noticing what's going on in this realm. And then on the other hand, trying to instill fear in people. And then from a financial perspective, I think they keep hitting those islands because they want to come in and start swooping stuff up on the low. Now, that's just my little opinion. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the truth on the financial side of the house, but I definitely feel that they're using it as chaos to keep the folks' mind off of what's really going on in this realm, because just in general, I don't know. To me, there is no more weather. I'm just going to put it out there plain. To me, there's no more weather.
Ain't no damn weather.
No. It was 71 here today up north. 71 degrees.
71?
So to me, literally 71.
Hell, I don't think we got out to 60 down here in Georgia today.
It just, nothing is making sense. None of it is making sense whatsoever. So to me, I'm sorry, go ahead on, brother.
And we're going to be in the 70s for the next few days.
Yeah, because you in Cleveland. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, whatever. If people can't see what's going on, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't think any natural weather is happening. I think it's all being generated at this point. And I think I talked about this before. I know I've talked about it privately, where some days you are outside and none of this shit seems real. It's like the wind ain't really blowing. It's just like, is this really air? It's really, really, really strange things that's going on. And I talked about it the last time we were on the air, where I felt that we were dwarfing in between dimensions. And since then, I've ran across a couple of other folks saying the same thing, that they think that we've jumped to literally Mama Earth is upgrading and we're upgrading with her. And sometimes we waver in the in-between state before we jump to another dimension. So I did kind of want to share that with the family as well, because I ran across something from our my new channel. I really like this channel. If you all get a chance, it's a YouTube channel called Higher Self. And I featured a couple of their videos on here before. And this particular video, they're talking about the Mandela effect, and we've talked about the Mandela effect before. But this time they're putting it in the content. It says the Mandela effect and the merging of two parallel realities, which that's what I've been feeling for the last couple of months, that we're like in and out of two different realities. So it's the Mandela effect and the merging of two parallel realities, another Earth. So I'm going to share that with the family, and then we're going to get into tonight's topic. But before I do that, does anybody have anything they want to put on it before we go into, and that'll give me a chance to find a little video too.
Yeah, let's just, you know what? I don't know if y'all been checking in on these wildfires that they call them.
Yeah, out west, you mean?
Yeah, out in California and up in Canada too. I went and looked at some footage, and that shit it's just like what happened up in New York, 9/11.
Interesting. So you're saying manufacturer? Give us an example.
Yeah, this guy. Okay, they on one of the videos I checked out, they showed this huge subdivision.
Mhm.
And right there in the middle of it, everything was destroyed. The rest of the subdivision was untouched.
That seems very controlled, don't it?
Yeah, but check it out.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people that was doing the video was an insurance guy, and he was just asking people different questions. And one lady told him that they saw a little pool of molten metal running down the street.
What?
That's the same shit was happening up there in the World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
And but the main kicker was the guy showed a tree that was on fire, where it looked like it was on fire, but the thing was burning from the inside out, and there wasn't no flames.
Oh, dang.
It's the same. I think that thing was a mix of that same thing they used in
that chemical. Mm-hmm. That same chemical they used.
Thermite.
I don't know what the hell it was, but that wasn't no regular fire. Wow,
sis, did you have something you want to put on it?
Yeah, one of the firefighters said that one fire was burning for a week, and it was the strangest fire. And he didn't make any more comments about it.
Okay, so that's exactly what happened in 9/11, if I remember properly. That those fires burned for weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. And it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me one doggone bit. Okay, well, we're going to get into this video, and that the distractions, again, now this is just my humble opinion, these distractions with the hurricanes, with the fires, with the false flags, To me,
they done turned it up.
Yeah, I know. They done turned it up. They didn't really dialed it up. I really believe it is to distract the people from not being able to recognize what the planet is really going through and what really the people that are going through, meaning us jumping to new parallel realities or higher dimensions. Okay, so this particular video, the Mandela Effect and the Merging of Two Parallel Realities, Another Earth, this is by Higher Self. So it's 24 minutes, but I may stop it beforehand. So here we go.
The Mandela Effect and the Merging of Two Parallel Realities by Carlos Tavares. May 28, 2016. Website ZenGardner.com. Produced by Higher Self.
Some people have noticed that things as they are now are not how they remember them as being before. This concept is called the Mandela Effect, because some people remember Mr. Mandela dying in prison, but in this, our current reality or version, he became president and only died in 2013. There are many such examples and many more to be revealed as people become aware of this concept and actually start to check up on things. Most commonly people remember the name of certain books or titles of movies being called something just slightly different but not what it is now, or the words in phrases in old books being different now. In some cases both realities are present with one version being more dominant than the other. I have had several personal experiences with the Mandela Effect, and after some time you yourself even begin to doubt and wonder if you are imagining the difference between the now version and the then version, because this reality is now the dominant material external collective, and is constantly reinforcing, or forcing, its proof or reality. I have a friend who remembers an entire building on the corner of a street in JHB, which simply is not there in this reality. As the cosmic law and ritual states that the powers that be have to tell you what is happening somehow, those that have seen the Fringe TV series will have had a clue and be able to grasp this quicker. The big thing for me was watching a recent clip where he was talking about the positions and shapes of entire land masses and continents. I was good at geography at school, so when I heard him saying certain things I actually stopped the video to see for myself on my own globe, because I did not believe what he was saying. After confirming that my globe too was not what I remembered, I continued to watch, but regularly stopped the video as he mentioned other places. This article I am writing specifically for the people that remember things differently, not for the masses who are aware of no change, as it would be very difficult to explain something to them that is different to what they can actually see and prove at present, in this reality. Some teachings have said that the Earth, in old reality timelines, has always destroyed itself or been destroyed by a nuclear World War III during the 1980s or by massive natural earth changes, and has never been able to go past the year 2012. I remember going to town a week after the whole 2012 thing and feeling so weird and out of place, like a dreamscape. With time I slowly started to accept and integrate this reality. So what I am thinking is that the people that now are noticing events, things, and places that were different before, compared to this reality, are the people from the old parallel that have merged with this new parallel. They have been transferred to this parallel Earth reality and by doing so, absorbed themselves in this reality into one person. Same soul and spirit though. It is interesting that the people reporting all these different cases are the more awakened and spiritual people, so what I am saying is that the people who had awoken enough, with enough knowledge, wisdom, action, and spirituality who had the potential for future continuation, were the ones transferred. The rest of the masses I would say actually died in some extinction level event on our original parallel reality/timeline. In this parallel are the copies/duplicates of those people which are all around that do not remember. So in other words, we jumped from one parallel Earth reality to another, one that was close enough in space and frequency, almost exactly the same, and with some eternal help involved. If this is true, then hypothetically this reality may not be much better than the old one, as this civilization or parallel also continues to collapse in on itself, and destroy this planet as well. So was it done to just buy some time? And are we about to go through yet another merging process? Each merge being an upgrade to a higher reality with more future potential. Like in the movie The One, where Jet Li goes from one parallel to the next, and every time he kills his other, he becomes more powerful. In our case, we may be slowly collecting the lost pieces of our fragmented selves with every merge. I was also wondering if this is the reason for many people reporting that they are continuously seeing double numbers, for example 1111, if it is not the subconscious mind telling us something, pointing directly to the double realities. Furthermore, is this why some people are seeing two very similar suns, when conditions are just right? Is there another Earth parallel close to us in frequency again? No, it is not Nibiru. Not every anomaly has to be Nibiru. It appears we are experiencing more and more strangeness and should be aware of such anomalies. End article. Begin new article. Bearing in mind the holographic nature of this reality, does accepting the Mandela effect increase slides? In discussions with friends, a question has been raised: when someone accepts the idea that the Mandela effect is real, does this reduce one's resistance to it? And, does this result in more frequent slides from one reality to another? Instead of a subconscious effort not to slide, are we mentally catching the wave and riding it to the next, cooler, alternate experience? I'm interested in whether you feel that, since looking at the Mandela effect concept, and deciding that it might be real, you're seeing an increasing number of changes. I don't mean whoa, when did that change, moments. I mean times when you look at something and know it was different yesterday, or in a time since you stumbled onto the Mandela effect. I'm not looking for a list of shifting memories. Mostly, I'm interested in your theories about what's going on, and if you're seeing more changes since you considered the Mandela effect, and decided it's not only possible, but okay. To use an old phrase, now that you know about the Mandela effect, are you happy, or at least somewhat content, to go with the flow?
The sources for both articles can be found in the description box below.
All right, family. So that video, and it goes on a little bit more, but the name of it is The Mandela Effect and the Merging of Two Parallel Realities, Another Earth, and that is off the YouTube channel, Another Earth. So I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on it. Go ahead, sis.
I want to say it's kind of like that old stuff, the world got so bad that people want to stop and get off of it. That's their wish to get off of it.
Yeah, speak up a little bit, sis.
Maybe it's their wish to get off of it, stop the world and get off. But I don't really see it that way because it's supposed to separate, according to Dr. Valentine, it's supposed to separate between good and evil, righteousness and unrighteousness. Now, if we're going to separate with these bad boys and it's going to stay the same, there's no point going anywhere. So I don't go with that theory that he's putting forward. And I don't understand how his knowledge bank is so thick that he knows all this kind of stuff. But anyway, I just disagree.
Very good point, sis, because what I think, and I agree with you, because what's the point in shifting if it's going to stay the same. But what I think is happening, and I kind of discussed that a couple of weeks ago, is that we're in a in-between phase before we jump to the next realm, which would be a higher frequency, which will knock folks out that cannot resonate at that level. So at the in-between phase, which I think that we're in now, is why some of us are noticing differences, even though they may be subtle, and also why things seem to have remained the same, because I think that we're in a in-between phase, and then the next time we jump, that will be the truly separating of who's going to be able to resonate at the higher frequencies are the ones that'll jump, and the ones that cannot will stay in the 3D, 4D realm. Okay, and that's why I think what we're seeing today in this in-between stage, and if we want to call that in-between stage the fourth dimension, we're seeing a lot of people losing their freaking minds. Literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. Because, yeah, and the reason why is because the energies are coming in to prepare folks, the higher energy coming in to prepare folks to go into the higher dimension. And those that cannot handle it, that's where they are going crazy. So now that's just my little theory, but yeah, I agree with you that I don't agree with him that we're going to shift and it's just to be shifting. What's the point in that? I think what he's missing is that, yes, there was a shift from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension represents that in-between stage, that holding pattern until we jump into the higher dimension. And in that fourth dimension, you're going to get waves of energy from the higher dimension, as well as you still have the energy from the third density. So that's what I think. But very good point, sis. Very good point. Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about before we go into the main subject, kind of a little slice of the merging of two parallel realities, is folks have also been reporting that new landmass are popping up on the planet. Okay, so recently mainstream media came out with saying that New Zealand has a new continent. Okay, and it's really not a new continent. What's happening is that New Zealand, the continent that sunk, is rising back to the surface. And so I saw a couple of videos where folks are doing Google Earth. And, you know, because Google Earth supposedly takes aerials, although I feel they doctor them, and that's a separate story. But anyhow, recent Google Earth aerials kind of show darkened parts on there, and it does appear that there are additional land mass that are like right beneath the surface of the ocean. Okay, so this also kind of fits into what some folks have been saying, some of the master teachers have been saying, and what some of the prophecies have been saying, that the planet will return to a high vibrational state. And a part of that high vibrational state will be the re-emersion of Lemuria and Atlantis. Okay, so this particular landmass that popped up off the coast of New Zealand, folks are speculating that it is part of Atlantis. Now, interesting. No, Lemuria. Now, interestingly enough, since I ran across the information about a month ago about how the mountains were really, really, really big sacred trees, like off of Avatar, I just found it really interesting that a lot of this information is coming back forward. And there's also a video out there talking about how some of these same mountains are having a lot of strange activity going on with them. One of the mountains, well, I'll say it was like a cave, but it's really a mountain. And you could tell where the mountain was excavated because it's like clean cut lines. But anyhow, in this cave, it's like really, really deep and really, really huge. And they're finding new sets of species that have emerged from this quote particular cave. And this one cave, and this is just one example, this one cave that they were talking about, actually not this one cave, a couple of the caves or the high quote mountains literally have their own ecosystem. So meaning they have their own lakes, they have their own animals, and they even have their own set of weather. So again, it kind of sparked my memory of the earth being in repair to prepare herself for, as she splits dimensions, to go back to her higher vibrational stage. And a part of that higher vibrational stage was, of course, having these majestic trees that were like really, really big, what we now call mountains, with underneath them this root system that were made up of all the crystals and precious stones. Okay, so that to me would make sense if they're finding activity in these mountains, and then you have these particular land mass, and particularly the one that they are admitting to that is rising above, re-emerging. So I think that it's also a part of us seeing a shift happen. And someone else had went on Google Earth and saw where even the coastlines are starting to change as well. And the land mass itself, it is saying that it has even shifted. So a lot of interesting stuff is going on. I think we are literally witnessing the split of new realities. This is what they spoke of when everyone talks about a new earth, and that people will have the option, if they are vibrating at a certain rate, to go to the new earth or stay in the 3D world. So before I go on, did anybody want to put something on it? If not, I'm going to go to Dabu7. He did a really quick video of 5 minutes on that. Go ahead on, sis.
My son did his DNA. I'm on his phone, by the way. And he did his DNA, and I did my brother's DNA because I wanted to find my mother's and father's DNA. One of the strangest things that was on the DNA was that they had a dot of people in some type of civilization in the middle of the ocean, but there wasn't any land mass there. So,
really?
Yes, nothing was there. But the dot was there. They didn't name it on the DNA neither. So one of the things also that has been purported is that as this Nivarian planet comes through, and on its return, it's going to destabilize the Earth, and the old sunken cities will come back up. But see, they've been knowing about these places for a long time, and they pretended that they didn't exist because, according to some doxology from the Moors, that we come from Memoria and Atlantis.
Yeah.
And they didn't want that to be known. So they have changed the books, fudged the history, but they put a dot in the middle of the ocean for my relative's DNA.
That is real, and you know, it's interesting, sis, that you even talk about doing your DNA, because I noticed all of these slew of commercials, you could be sitting minding your business, and they're trying to pretty much beg people to do DNA. And the first thing I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
Well, I wouldn't do that if I were people. I'd sit back because they're going to do biological warfare with that DNA. It's been purported that's what they want it for. And they've been collecting it, somebody said, at sports events and asking people to get their DNA. And so they're going to give viruses specific to your DNA. And I wanted to say that before we got on another tangent. And I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No, you're fine.
They're using that DNA they're collecting so they can be more specific with the plagues that's coming on this planet. And they got hepatitis A in San Diego. And they said it's more than 100 people that's involved. And Madagascar has the Black Plague. So you don't want to do that. So if you're thinking about it, don't do it.
Totally agree, sis, because I agree with you that there is a reason that they're wanting to collect people's DNA, that actually they're begging to collect folks' DNA. Brother Sean got kicked off. He'll be back in a minute. To collect people's DNA, and it's not for your benefit. I agree with you, sis. They're taking people's DNA to try to come up with biological warfare. And then the second piece of the puzzle is, I believe, to catalog once again where we are in the process of moving to the new realm. Because remember, as the planet change, you change. So meaning, as she is doing an upgrade, so are you being upgraded. So meaning your DNA structure will start to change, because it is going to start unlocking, not going to start. It is starting to unlock. Because you are moving from a carbon-based being to a crystallized being. So yeah, they stank asses may be trying to take the DNA for biological warfare. Not gonna work, but okay. Knock themselves out. But the main reason is they're trying to see truly where are we in the process of moving to the higher realm. Okay, so that's my 2 cents, but I totally agree with sis. I personally would not be giving them my DNA at this time, giving them my blood. If you live in melanated communities, dominantly melanated communities, they popping up with all of these damn blood centers and dialysis centers, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, y'all think y'all effing slick. I know exactly what's going on. So yes, it is part of it. They call themselves doing biological warfare, but again, when you have the gift of melanin, you come from the source, you're able to adapt and change. So melanin can never be destroyed. So that little bullshit they doing, it really don't mean nothing, because you will shape shift and overcome it. But the other flip side, they are really categorizing to see how far in the process we are to moving to a higher dimension, and to specifically catalog folks. So I almost look at it in the mindset of Marvel's X-Men. Okay, that's the particular time frame we're in. But very, very good point, sis. Very, very good point. So I'm going to just real quick do Dabu 7. It's only like 5 minutes. He's going to talk about this new continent off New Zealand, and then we're going to come back and get into the ego. So here we go.
This is Dabu 7. We have scientists coming out now saying they believe there is part of a previously unknown continent that is mostly submerged in the South Pacific that is connected to New Zealand. This is pretty amazing. And the detail that comes with this gives credence to their claims here, because they're saying it meets all the criteria applied to the Earth's 7 continents, according to scientists. Elevation above the surrounding area, distinctively different with its geology from the ocean floor. It has a well-defined area, and when it comes to the crust, they say the crust is much thicker than found on the ocean floor, with sediment, plant life, and everything else that shows that this was at one time above the water. This is very interesting, knowing that water levels were much lower at different times. They're saying that this area is 94% underwater, and you can only imagine what roads, cities, ancient monuments, anything could be sitting on this ancient continent. Now, they want to say this could go back 100 million years, but people always argue their timelines there and saying that the Earth has seen changes, drastic changes, within that time frame, a smaller time frame than 100 million years. What is very interesting is we all hear about Atlantis, that is supposed to be the lost continent that disappeared in the Atlantic. We've heard about Lemuria, which is a massive landmass that disappeared south of India, between Africa and Australia there, in the Indian Ocean. And then you have the ancient landmass of Mu. And this is very interesting because it was said to extend down to Easter Island. You can see Tonga, all these other places, and it looks Hawaii would be right there in the same area, one of the remnants of ancient Mu, and it stretches all the way over here. Now, this is what is very interesting to me, is because if this ancient Mu map connects over here, then that means that this part up here is a part of that. And I'm wondering if this too, connecting all the way down to New Zealand, all this submerged, this one piece of land, this massive landmass, is it connected? Because if so, this could be a massive piece of ancient Mu that is sitting underwater, and it's right there, and they're giving more proof now. People don't have to wonder, well, where could it be or where could it have went? They're saying a massive continent is underwater, 94% of it. And you can only wonder what is sitting there. Gets the wheels turning, that's for sure, and it's very interesting, especially with all the mysteries tied to our history here on this planet. Talked many times about the ancient stories that Dolph had spoke about in the Emerald Tablets. He had spoke about Atlantis, Lemuria, these other continents, and the devastation that happened here on this planet. But this connection to ancient Mu, and knowing that this landmass is stretching right up here to it, to me, it's pretty crazy. So it definitely raises the question for me, is this a part of ancient Mu? Well, regardless, they're saying it's a lost continent underwater, and it's pretty amazing to me. Any of my folks out there in New Zealand, hear me. And you're out there and you got a drone, have clear waters, you see anything, if you can find any kind of proof, just like the road off of Bimini, that shows proof that there was an ancient road there. They won't say where to or what, and they want to leave it shrouded in mystery, but there was a road that was put into motion, and there's other places like this all over the place, all over the globe. But a continent, that's massive. Does it get much bigger than that? Make sure to tune in tonight, Underground World News Live, Dabu 77, 8 p.m. Eastern. make sure to subscribe to my other YouTube channel, Dabu777. Going to be running an around-the-clock news feed.
Okay. All right, family. So that was Dabu 7, and the title of that video is Wow, New Zealand, part of lost continent near ancient landmass of Mu. Okay, so let me bring back Brother Sean because he got cut off. Okay. All right, brother. Hopefully you're back. Okay, so anybody want to put something on it before we move on?
Yeah. You know, there's like 4 or 5 places in Mississippi that's been dried up too.
Interesting.
And now you have to keep in mind that was discovered after the fact of that water disappearing in the ocean off the coast of Florida and off the coast of the Caribbean.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a big question that has to be asked. Is it possible that the waters from the flood are finally starting to really recede after all of these years?
So, you mean from the big flood?
Yeah.
That's now, damn, brother. That's interesting that you say that because remember I told you folks are doing the Google Map search and they're showing where these land mass are like right underneath the water, like they're going to rise up any minute. Yeah. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
And folks said that the continents have shifted. Literally, they've shifted.
That's what they're claiming that's happening with in that area of the Mississippi. That the earth has shifted up. So there's areas in the Mississippi where they can't even run the barges through that part of it.
Oh wow! Because it's just too low.
Some of it is like 4 feet deep. You can't run a barge through there.
Yeah, that's pretty drastic then. And they're not talking about it, of course. Yeah, that's huge.
No, they ain't talking about it. Yeah.
Wow. Brother Sean, you had something you wanted to put on it?
Yeah, I was pretty much thinking what Brother Wendell was thinking. I mean, with these hurricanes and stuff that's being created, that's a lot of water being used, and it's uncovering things that's been there. It's not that anything was lost, and the land never disconnected. It's just up underwater.
Okay. Yeah. I get it. I get it now.
There's land at the bottom of every body of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, what, the water just sitting in space and there's nothing beneath it?
That's very, very true. Very good point. Now, that's a good point. So the waters are receding. Very, very good point. Great point.
And you know the reason they ratcheting all this stuff up is to induce fear. Because if people are constantly in a state of fear, then you're not vibrating at a high enough frequency to go on. Right,
to go on. So you know that they'll have plenty of company in 3D, basically.
Exactly.
Interesting. And I do want to put out to the family, there is a movie, now I think it's on Netflix. Don't quote me. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix. I can't remember if I watched it on Netflix or Amazon. It's called Another Earth. Okay? And so it is describing the parallel realities that we've been talking about. And the particular movie is literally where on the regular 3D Earth, in the sky, in view, the new Earth showed up, and it was this big to-do about who was going to get to go to the new Earth. And they were doing this lottery to go to the new Earth, and some of the people that had left or quote, quote, passed on from 3D were supposedly in the New Earth, and then some of the people were in both, okay? So if you get a chance, it's kind of a quirky movie. They kind of piss me off when I be all in the little metaphysics, scientific side. They want to throw a damn love story in. I'm like, get the hell on with that. Keep with the regular stuff. So that's going to kind of irritate you. But if it is a movie worth watching to see how they're really putting out there that this new Earth shows up, and not everybody's going to get to go to it. So very, very interesting, extremely interesting. Okay, family, so we're going to get into the main topic tonight, me, myself, and I balancing the ego. Now, I definitely wanted to do this show. I've been wanting to do it for quite a while, and one of the reasons is, and we've talked about this several times. We did a show on making of a Messiah, and we've talked about how the conscious community slip has really been showing, and basically folks have been exposed with their true motives, okay? So it kind of made me think about, what makes people do those things. Of course, those particular beings, they have conflict going on within them. They're stuck at the lower chakra realm, meaning they don't have their chakras balanced out. Most of them are in the root chakra area. And most of the conscious community with all that anger and ain't really doing shit but cussing each other out every other damn week, and, blaming the white man doing this, and that, are clearly stuck at the heart chakra and can't move on to the higher realm. And so it made me want to do this show on ego and how ego ties really into all of this. So I'm going to give a quick definition, their technical definition of ego. Then we're going to go on the real definition, the metaphysics side of the house. So this is off of Wikipedia, and they're calling it id, ego, and superego. So anybody that took any psychology class 101, that come from Freud's ass. Okay, so id, ego, and superego are the three parts of the psychic apparatus defined in Sigmund Freud's structural model of the psyche. The three parts are the theoretical constructs in terms of whose activity and interaction our mental life is described. According to this Freudian model of the psyche, the id is a set of uncoordinated instinctual trends. The superego plays the critical and moralizing role, and the ego is the organized, realistic part that mediates between the desires of the id and the superego. The superego can stop one from doing certain things that one's id may want to do. Although the model is structural and makes reference to an apparatus, the id, ego, and superego are purely psychological concepts and do not correspond to somatic structures of the brain, such as the kind dealt with by neuroscience. The superego is observable in how someone can view themselves as guilty, bad, pathetic, shameful, weak, and feel compelled to do certain things. Freud in The Ego and the Id discusses the general characters of harshness and cruelty exhibited by the ego ideal, its dictatorial thou shalt. Okay, so I'm not going to go into any more of that. So that is their quote textbook definition of what the ego is. So now we're going to go into a metaphysics definition. Okay, this one is off of Huntington Post back in 2014, recognizing and eliminating your spiritual ego. Let's see if I wanted this. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. I started to delete that one because he was talking shit. He was contradicting himself, so my bad. Okay, this is from the spiritscience.net. Understanding the spiritual ego. Is your own ego outsmarting you? And this article is from 2016. As we get deeper and further along our spiritual path, our ego has no choice but to become sneakier in the ways it takes form, especially if we have a tenacious ego. The first time I realized how incredibly strong my ego is was the first time I tried psychedelic mushrooms. I laugh now when I think about how sneaky my ego tried to be that day. It was me and a couple of friends who decided to eat some mushrooms on the beach. Within the first hour, they were both feeling the effects, but I felt nothing. If you have ever done psychedelic mushrooms as spiritual practice, you know that eventually your ego is essentially thrown up, and all you're left with is the eyes of love. Your ego is completely stripped away from your being. What I know now is that my ego fought the mushrooms with all its might, so much so that it tried to convince me that the reason I wasn't feeling the effects was because I was called to hold the space for the ones who were. Of course, to my ego, being called to hold the space meant I was more spiritual than my friends, which my ego clinged onto for dear life until it eventually left my body. My ego revealed its true colors to my higher self that day. However, you don't have to do psychedelics to find out how sly your ego can be. There are things you can look out for on your journey to forming a harmonious relationship with your ego. If you're reading this article, then chances are you have learned that love is power, positive thinking yields positive results, and that fear is an illusion. You have probably learned 101 ways to keep your ego in check, how to raise your vibration, the secret to opening your third eye, etc., etc. As we acquire this knowledge, this spiritual knowledge, if you will, we find that it actually works and our eyes become wide open. We become acutely aware of the people who don't live the spiritual way, the people who are drowning in sorrow, the people who play the victim, the people who are afraid, the people who don't understand the secret, the destruction of our planet, the greed, the lies, the mistreatment of animals, the shady politicians. Waking up is an important time on our journey, but it can also be a time when the spiritual ego emerges. The spiritual ego needs to be right and defend the honor of what it believes. When people insult the path you're on, the spiritual ego speaks up. The spiritual ego cannot allow others to experience their own journeys and always has to respond. It listens to someone's point and responds. You're not wrong, but here is the better point. It loves to tell people what they should and shouldn't do to fix their problem without even being asked. People who agree are the spiritual ego's friends, and people who do not are lower vibration. It can be around people who get it, but judges the people who don't. It judges those who are not on the same path and feels the need to teach people the way. The spiritual ego believes if people don't eat the way they do, or meditate like they do, or spend their time the way they do, then those people are lacking. It also loves to compare its level of spirituality to other spiritual people. The spiritual ego falls in the same category as religious righteousness or New Age righteousness or any type of righteousness, period. It is not to say that people who inspire people to live their best lives are doing wrong. No, this is not the case. We are living in a world where people are asleep to their best potential because of many things: fear, lack of self-love, lack of awareness, the food we eat, the fluoride in our water, our disconnect to Mother Nature. However, it is not our job to judge the path of others or come up with the path that we think is best for someone else. As we awaken, our eyes become wide. It can be challenging and emotional to see the people whom we love unhappy, especially because now we know that love is power. That if they just learn to love themselves, that they could be happy, strong, powerful, and live out their lives to their fullest potential. That if they could just stop being afraid and take the risk, all of their dreams could come true. I can personally say that this part has been the hardest part of my journey, and it's probably what birthed my spiritual ego. I had finally found the key to happiness, but nobody was listening, and everyone continued to live unhappily. It was frustrating to witness, so I preached and preached away until I realized that it wasn't working. As I am sure you are aware, there are only two true emotions: love and fear. The stress and emotions we feel when we believe our family or friends aren't living their lives to their best potential stems from fear. Our ego lives in a place of fear, so it preaches and lectures our family out of fear that they won't find the way unless we personally show them. By doing this, we are telling the universe that we do not trust the divine plan it has for those we love. I get it. We want to help. But there is a tricky line between helping others and leading the life of a spiritual ego. The most monumental thing we could do for those we love is to love them unconditionally. Love, and love some more. Forget about people's flaws and focus on their beauty. Let them be who they are and trust in their journey. Support who they are. Accept who they are. Love exactly who they are. Whatever arises, love that. Lead a life of love and lead the way with your light. Focus on your light and yours alone. And soon you will see people you love mirror that light. Live your best life and lead by example. Love is contagious, and people will catch it in their own time. Everyone's path is unique to their story, completely personal and out of your control. If you want to inspire and help others, do so when they ask or are listening. As you continue to lead your life choosing love, your ego will feel left behind, no longer needed and afraid. Instead of trying to ignore it by performing spiritual kung fu moves on it, empathize with it. For the majority of your life, the ego has been in charge and has been feeling pretty good about leading your life. But now you are replacing its role with love. sympathize with your ego and say the words, I'm sorry, when it expresses its fears and pain. So that's the end of that article, and that's off of Spiritual Science, and the website is spiritualscience.net, and it's understanding the spiritual ego is your ego outsmarting you. So I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on it. That's one point. We're going to dig a little deeper, but I'll pause and let the family put something on it.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a great self-evaluation. That was wonderful. Now, my question is that it took them to get high to come up with that. Damn.
Now,
you know what I'm saying?
now, in his defense, he said you don't have to get high to get to that.
But, yeah,
I guess he just happened to get smacked.
Yeah, he just let you know. Y'all ain't got to get fucked up like that, but that's what I did.
Ooh, he did say he took this little shroom.
But that whoever that individual is, they did what they had to do with it.
Exactly.
But the second part of the question is, was he on the mushrooms at that point?
Who knows? Who knows?
He followed mushroom, cocaine, and weed at the same time.
He might be. He might be. He very well may be.
Yeah, but that's a wonderful self-evaluation, though.
Yeah, I think he hit it out the park. Brother Sean, you have something you want to put on it?
Yeah. Spirit ego. Didn't go off into the soul at all. So
we're gonna get into that.
Considering the spirit and the soul are two separate entities, and also love and fear being emotions. I can more or less see fear fitting in that category. Love is actually a way of being. And the spirit ego would have us think that it's just an emotion or reduce
That's
it.
an excellent point. That is an excellent point.
And the act of being love is to vibrate at the highest frequency.
Now that's a very good point.
It's something that you have to totally encompass. I mean, you can't just pick and choose. Somebody got to do this, that, or the other. Okay, I love you now because you've done this.
Right.
That's not love. It either exists or it don't. And we know
very
that it
point.
is.
Very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. You're the first person that I've heard bring the true meaning of that concept, the two emotions, love and fear. And your point is well taken because love just is. And to expound on that, as you were bringing that message across, that powerful message across, I immediately picture the vibrational rate when you're at a fearful level, what that vibrational rate looks like. And that's, the lower vibration, and that's actually literally in your root chakra. And then sometimes it can also be at the heart chakra too, that middle gateway chakra. And then love, I immediately saw the higher vibration. And so when you said that, when you're at that state of love, you have to be at the higher vibration, I felt exactly what you said, and that is an excellent point. Very, very good point, brother. Very, very good point. Sis, did you have something you wanted to put on it?
Yes, I do. And that is the literal definition of the id and the ego and all that kind of stuff. When you come to the conscious community, and we'll talk about it for a minute, when you come to the conscious community, their egos are so bad that they not only send people running in circles to find their own identity, they have to be in control of controlling others, and they really go so far as to cheat the others by working undercover for agencies that prevent the ones that want the freedom and want the life of freedom get it, because they're the ones that are, exercising their own egos. They're reporting them. They're keeping them under the thumb of the controllers, because they have to have that control. We know money's involved in it, but we also know their egos are there too. Otherwise, they would have consciousness about what they're doing. And with that, I yield, because I can't say no more about it, because if I do, I may get in trouble. But they are really bad. Really bad. Yes. And our people should be aware of that and beware of it and don't trust it.
Yes, sis. Indeed. And you are tuning in to my frequency, because I was going to go into this next story talking about the quote conscious community, and how over this last year, I was just talking to somebody a couple of days ago, and I was saying, anybody out now calling themselves being a self-proclaimed leader, putting a title on themselves, they are getting exposed faster and faster. So shit that used to take 10 years, 5 years to expose, we narrowed it down to 2-3 years. Now the shit, somebody will be popping on YouTube for 3 months, and then they shit gets bust out within a 6-month time frame. Okay, and that's because of the age that we're in. We talked about we're in the age of Aquarius. Nothing will be hidden, and the vibrations, the higher vibrations that we have access to. So the point that sis was trying to make, and I heard her very, very clearly, and she actually literally led me into what I wanted to say. These self-proclaimed leaders, and I'm going to specifically tonight speak on the melanated community, because I have noticed, we've all noticed in the past couple of years, and really end of last year, this year, the shit's been off the chain, with folks coming up, calling themselves some type of leader in the conscious community, and then there's always some scandal involving it. And you can see a pattern. And we talked about this before, that these particular folks, they turn the shit into a cult, and the self-proclaimed leaders are operating out of ego. Okay? So just do your research. It ain't going to take long. It's a bunch of their asses out there. And some of you know them personally. Okay? Where these folks are operating out of their ego because they're not balanced. They're not vibrating higher. So they need others' energy to function. Okay? But they're using it as a guise, as we're going to vibrate higher, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But they say one thing, but their motherfucking actions show differently, because they want people to literally serve them and bow down to them. Okay? So I'm minding my business like I try to tend to do for the most part. I really do. I really do try to. So I'm not sure if you guys heard about this dude, Nature Boy. So somebody posted the article. So this dude, Nature Boy, I have seen folks kind of complaining about him late last year because he done took a group of people out to Honduras to build a new civilization and society, XYZ, etc. And just like all the motherfucking broke ass, low vibrational, fake ass, appointed messiah, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves, cult leaders, always behind the scenes, it's some shit. Meaning they always have a group of women that they're pimping from a sexually standpoint, and they're pimping everybody around them, and they're set to put all of their money together, but ultimately the leader distributes, controls, and ultimately benefits from everyone else's resources, not only monetarily, but energy-wise as well, okay? Some of the other kind of characteristics of these folks are they put division between people's families, have people either cut off their families, cut off their friends, or if you not with them, you full of shit, blah, blah, blah. All classic signs of a cult, classic signs of a cult leader and their ego, okay? So that's what's going on with this Nature Boy. Everything that I described, what was going on in his camp, because some of the people had got out and started blowing the whistle on his stinking ass. So this little article came out in one of Canada's papers. Somebody posted it on Facebook. It says, "Who is Nature Boy? Cult leader says Kayla Reed can leave at any time." So this came out March 2017. Okay. Here he goes. LGO Bishop. Now, y'all, I straight roll when I read these first little sentences because I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me, right? But I should have known better because all of these people that are out front with this bullshit behind the scenes are raggedy as hell. I mean, extremely raggedy. But anyway, here we go. LGO Bishop is a former model, stripper, prostitute, and barber. These days, he's a self-professed cult leader. His exact location in Costa Rican jungle is unknown, and so is the number of followers living with him. My bad, he's in Costa Rica. What is known, however, are details of a checkered past and criminal record. It is also clear he has full support and devotion of 21-year-old Kayla Reed, and she's a white lady, a white young girl. I want to throw that in there because we finna bring this shit deep in a second. It is also clear he has full support and devotion of 21-year-old Kayla Reed, who recently left her home in Newfoundland and moved to Costa Rica to be with Bishop and his followers. I've made myself clear that nothing is going on with Kayla. Nothing is wrong with Kayla, Bishop told CBC News in an interview on Monday. Kayla is just fine. From stripper to cult leader. Before he left for Costa Rica, 34-year-old Bishop held previous addresses in Atlanta and New Jersey. In 2009, he was arrested for forcible entry in Georgia. 2 years later, he faced charges of theft and was arrested for aggravated battery. No charges were laid in the later incident, he said. He was a model and an exotic entertainer confessing in a Facebook video to having sex for money. Attempting to avoid furthering a life of crime, Bishop attended school to become a barber. He filed for a business license in 2014, opening his own shop in Georgia. He also claims to have worked on The Monique Show, a talk show hosted by Atlanta comedian of the same name. In a Facebook post from June 2016, Bishop posed with a backpack writing, "The ascension journey has begun." He was heading for Honduras, urging commentators on a post to let him be their guide out of hell realm. His followers grew over time. Now he has more than 17,000 on Facebook. Nature Boy speaks. LGO Bishop announced a video call on Monday from CBC News on Monday with a bright smile, sitting in a vehicle with 3 male friends crowded in the backseat behind him. He agreed to speak with CBC reporter who contacted him through a third-party international texting app. Bishop objected to be called by his given name, asking instead to be referred to as Nature Boy. When asked about Reed, he assured she was safe and happy in Costa Rica as she could leave on her own accord. He had urged Reed to make contact with the Canadian police and her mother, Bishop said. "I'm a black man and she's a white girl," he said. "It might seem to the world that I am holding her hostage. I wanted to make it clear, call your people and let them know you're okay." Throughout the interview, his jovial attitude turned to frustration when pressed on his background and details about exactly how many devout followers he has. "You asking how many people are in my family is irrelevant," he said. "How many people are in your family is just irrelevant to this conversation. Let's move on to something that matters." Next question. I am a cult. Since Reed's story broke, accusations have arisen that Bishop is leading a cult. Rick Allen Ross, a self-proclaimed cult expert who was consulted by the FBI following the Branch Davidian siege at Waco, Texas, take a firm stand on Bishop. He exhibits the signs of a dangerous cult leader, Ross said. From watching videos posted to Bishop's Facebook page, he believes the actions displayed by the leader and followers fit a textbook definition of a cult, a system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. The followers are not buying into the belief set forth as much as they are buying into the man preaching them, he said. When asked his actions, Bishop challenged the definition but did say, "I am a cult," before accusing Canada, the United States of America, and CBC of also being cults. "Documents are legit," the leader says. A representative from the Global Affairs Canada said the department is aware of the situation and has spoken with the Costa Rican authorities. However, if the group's travel documents are legit, there is not much the authorities can do. Any traveler from Canada or the United States can enter Costa Rica without a visa for 90 days. After that, they must apply for a temporary resident permit. According to Bishop, his group is living legally in the country and do not intend to break immigration laws. Ross said the best way to end the situation and bring Reed back to Canada is for local authorities to find a way in which she is violating those laws. If possible, Reed can be deported back to Canada against her will. Then her family can take it from there. Okay, so again, this article was done March this year out of Canada, CBC News. Who is Nature Boy? Cult leader says Kayla Reed can leave at any time. Okay, so I'll pause and let somebody put something on it while I get a sip of water.
Yeah. No, I didn't heard about him before. A sister had came on. I think her name was whatever, or something. Yeah, she came out about him that she's, had to get up out of there. Things wasn't cool there. But what they have to think about, though, is, what is it that's going on with self that you put yourself in that type of
in that
predicament?
situation? Yes.
That's a part of the ego also, the lower aspect of the ego.
Absolutely.
When you're searching for something outside of self.
1,000% agree with you. I'm sorry, go ahead on, brother.
And that's even also with the so-called leaders. What they search for outside of self is energy. They're looking for people to praise them and to worship them.
Yep.
And they do. And people should realize that if you're going to worship anybody, it's supposed to be your higher self. It's supposed to be you.
Absolutely. 1,000% agree with you. And I do want to make clear, this ain't only about Nature Boy. It's about all the other ones that fit the category of deeming themselves a title and what people must do in order to, quote, quote, supposedly and allegedly receive some shit through them now. Nothing that you can, quote, quote, allegedly do on your own, but you must go through them to do X, Y, Z, etc. And here's the thing that I want to bring this forward, how this is tied in the ego, because obviously anyone that feels that, you know, they must be worshipped and only something can happen on the behalf of someone else through them, not only is that an out of balance ego, you're looking at personality disorders as well, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But what Brother Sean is saying, what we have to realize as a people, and we've talked about this several times on this show, we just came out of the age of Pisces, which had that energy of all of these lower dimensional entities set themselves on these thrones to have other folk worship them for just the sole purpose of surviving off of their energy. Okay? That's what the religion was essentially all about. So, now that we have moved into a different age and the associated higher dimensional energies that have come along with that, these demons, whether or not you want to call them demons, lower entities, whatever the hell you want to call them, demigods, knew what time or what age we would move into, and the age of Pisces is no longer. So meaning the age of religion and demigods and all that shit was out the door. So folks start jumping on the bandwagon of let's do the ascension. But the trick is some of these same entities just switch the shit up. They just slapped another goddamn name on it. But it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as a religion, with someone putting themselves above you and telling you that you must serve them or go through them to get X, Y, Z. And the part that is so dangerous about that is, number one, and first foremost, you're looking outside of yourself. And anytime you look outside of yourself, there'll never be any good results. You're giving over your power to someone else who does not have your best interest at heart. And once again, you are allowing this entity, this being, this lower being, to feed off of you. Okay? So this is the exact same pattern that was done in the Pisces religion era. It's really no different. And then when people get into these particular cults or groups or whatever the hell they want to call them, when they're deep into it and when they're in that close-knit inner circle and you see the bullshit that's going on, where one thing was professed, we're going to save the world, we're going to do this, we're going to be in tune with nature, but you're right there in the midst of it and you see the shit not happening, and then you start justifying in your mind why this shit is okay. Okay? These are the dangers that I have seen in the so-called conscious community and specifically the melanated community. It's one person after the other, after the other, after the other. They may have a different little twist, but the motherfucking script is the same. Okay? These are egotistical, egomaniac, lower vibrational, dimensional beings feeding. They are harvesting souls to be trapped with them in a lower vibrational state. Okay? So I'm going to pause in case somebody wants to put something on it. If not, we're going to jump into more specifics on what the ego is.
Yeah, I just want to say that spiritual ascension and ascension of the soul is two different things. The spirit can only travel so far. It only vibrates so high. And if all we focus on is falling off into that spiritual trap, which totally embodies the so-called conscious community. Mm-hmm. They're always talking spirituality, but they're constantly focused on the physicality of things.
Yep.
It's either money.
Yep.
Or sex.
Yep, or sex. Money or sex. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sorry, go ahead, brother. I don't want to cut you off. You go ahead.
Oh, no, I yield.
And, you know, I'm glad that you brought that up. And I know I had MF and SB on one of the calls about this. But it's true because you see the same trends over and over again where these self-appointed cult leaders are men. They surround themselves with women with this idea that they're going to have many wives, okay? And this is the way to build a nation. But when you get behind the scenes, these motherfuckers are cutting up sideways. Now, you want to confess that you ascending to a higher place, you got this, and that, but you ain't turning down no coochie. None whatsoever. I'm just going to keep it real. You ain't turning down no coochie. Matter of fact, you consume your time with coochie. So how are you doing spiritual internal work when you're stuck in your motherfucking root chakra getting your motherfucking rocks off?
Mm-hmm. Or,
because it's always both. They don't do one without the other. Let's be motherfucking clear. Let's be clear. 99.9999999% of they stinking asses don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. They take all the resources of the people in the motherfucking group, divvy them up the way they want to help support their stinking asses, and have the people go out to hustle to get other people's stuff. But you vibrating at a high motherfucking level, and you got, first of all, bitch, if you're all of that, you're supposed to be creating. You're supposed to create your own wealth, not take from others. But these are the things that people that fall back into this trap, thinking that they're on this spiritual ascension journey, but they're doing it through someone else who is a goddamn demon. They are a lower vibrational demon. Okay,
Mr. Rhonda,
same story. Yes, go ahead on.
This is Sandra Hope L. Son.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm good. My mother's on the other phone too. She's on the other. She's on the 661. We switched phones, but I'm on here.
Okay.
I just wanted to say this. The conscious community has no conscience.
No.
And they are saying that they're using words like a preacher used baptism.
Yep.
They're
casting spells.
Casting spells. Using words to motivate people to maintain the wickedness. Now, half of these brothers, I understand they street hustlers. Did their thing, they made their money, and so on and so forth. But they don't understand, and I know they're taking it as a joke, and I know that they're taking it as, I'm just getting money. But do you understand that you are worse than the slave master? You are making wealth off of your ancestors' deaths. And you should be held accountable worse than the European and the crimes that they have committed on us, because you are using the same tactics that they are using, but you're using it and you knowingly use it.
You know when you're doing it. That's right.
And so whenever judgment falls or falls on themselves, time comes and the karma or the energy comes to them, they face this because they think it's a game. But you don't ever dishonor your ancestors, because just because you don't see them don't mean they ain't reporting.
Right. That's right, brother. You're absolutely right.
So they can have all the little fake fiat money they want. Jews that got the people killed, and the man came and stole the Jews, and you're using the same Jews that man stole. You can have all that stuff you want, but I guarantee the judgment seat of my aunt. Don't be afraid. Just make sure that your time is spared on the other side. Don't be afraid. Just know what you've done. Don't go begging. Don't ask. Don't scream, I'll do it better. Don't do it better, because you do it this time.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's what your conscience gets you. That's unconscious. You're not conscious to the deaths and the murders and the millions of us that have died, and you're making money off of the sweat and tears of the ones who passed on. You're wrong. Your whole persona's wrong. Your energy's wrong. Your thought process is wrong. Yeah, you're trying to take care of your family, but did you know that money that you touching can curse your family at the same time as you stealing? Do you not know that? Do you not see through the rear view, as Tupac would say? I'm looking through my rear view. But anyway, I'm gonna get off this.
All right, brother. Thank you, brother. Very, very well said, beloved. Thank you so much. Okay, family. So I do want to go in a little deeper on ego. I do have a 10-minute clip for you, going a little deeper to kind of make the family aware of the psyche, or how powerful this ego comes into play for this shit to be so out of control with these self-proclaimed folks. And not only them, just for each one of us individually to make sure that we balance ourselves as well. So this video is called Ego Explained by Hans Wilhelm, and it's only 10 minutes long. So here we go. Now I know I hit the little video. Okay, here we go, family.
Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm, and in this video in the Life Explained series, I would like to talk about the ego. Now, there are many different interpretations given by various experts, but I like to concentrate on the origin and the spiritual side of the ego, and I think you may find it very interesting. As always, we have to remember who we are. We are spiritual beings, or also called souls. Now, that's the best spiritual being I could do now. And as such, we have a very flexible, ethereal body that can easily move in the spiritual and the semi-material and the material worlds. But in the material worlds, like here on Earth, it can only be an observer. It cannot really interact with the dense material environment. And if the soul wants to fully interact with the minerals, the plants, or the animal kingdoms, we have a little piggy, or even with other human beings, the soul needs a body armor to survive in this dense vibration. Sort of, it's like, similar like these old diving suits they had, where you remember with this air hose to the boat for deep sea diving. It's a pressure suit. And this diving suit is our physical body. That's why we have incarnated into a body of bones and flesh. Our physical body is our vehicle to be able to move around here on Earth. Very much like we use a car to move around town. But it's very difficult for a soul to find itself in such a coarse and heavy and clumsy body armor. Of course, souls that have incarnated many times are used to this body, but there are lots of new souls as well who incarnate for the first time. And for them, it's very, very difficult to move around in this thing and to also take care of it. But here is where Mother Nature comes in with an ingenious feature and device. Do you remember all the electronics in your car that tell you when you are running low on gas or on brake fluid and all the other dangers, all these little lights that warn us? Well, our body armor has got the same kind of feature. It's the mind that tells our soul when to eat, so a little apple here, on when to rest, or when there is danger, like falling off the cliff. It makes sure that the body will stay healthy and fit and serve us until we no longer need it and can return to the spiritual world. And this little mind that helps us to keep our body in shape is called the ego. Originally, the ego was only concerned with the well-being of the physical body. It's a great device if you come to think about it. But over hundreds of years and many, many incarnations, the souls forgot who they were and began to identify with their physical body. They thought they are their body. And the lure, the attraction of this physical body are the five senses. These five senses were only meant to be a tool, but they became soon the focal point for many souls and the main reason to incarnate into this world. And the more the souls began to identify with their bodies, the more they began to crave for the fulfillment of certain pleasures, which they could do only via the five senses of the physical body. They fell deeply into sensuality. Wow. And of course, the most obvious one was the sense of touch, which is mostly enjoyed as sex. Originally, sex was designed for procreation and an expression of love for somebody we cared for. But now look what has happened. Our identification with our body and our addiction to sex has created this big sex industry. A brutal world with pornography, abuse, abductions of women and children, prostitution, organized crime. We are using other human beings only for the satisfaction of our sensuality. And another typical example is the sense of taste, originally meant to help us to differentiate between healthy and poisonous food. But now it became the main focus for many. We were no longer satisfied with plant diet. We began to devour other beings of flesh and bones, purely for the pleasure, for the sensuality. And as you know, our body isn't built for that as a carnivore, like a tiger. It doesn't have these special glands in the stomach to digest flesh, or these very short intestines to quickly eliminate the decaying food. And as a result, of course, we have created a huge animal farm industry. Oh boy. Here our four-legged and winged brothers and sisters are kept under horrendous conditions. I was actually going to add a few images of animal farming to this video, but the images are too gruesome to show. But we all know about it. And yet we continue this crime only for the gratification of our sensual pleasures of taste. Only for our bodily pleasure. Flesh has no value to our body. On the contrary, we know it's even harmful. Now think of all the large vegan and vegetarian societies on this planet that have been living a much healthier diet for thousands of years. Now, eating no longer was a way to maintain our body, which was originally planned. It now becomes our national pastime. We are continuously stuffing our face. Whether we are in the streets, in the cinemas, or throughout the day, we do it all because our body runs us and not the other way around. And as a result, as a society, we have become obese. We want more and more. This little ego here has now become the big ego. And it wants more and more. And this ego, of course, has also made us greedy. Greed. The ego is making us greedy, and suddenly the idea of scarcity comes over us because we believe we are our body. But we remember about Gandhi's famous word, there is enough on this earth for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. And now out of this comes fear and worry. Fear and worry. They come from the ego. Our higher self doesn't know fear and worries because it knows it's eternal and linked directly to God. But our body is afraid, and fear is of the earth, as Edgar Cayce reminds us, because the body knows it has a limited lifespan and it's very fragile. So it gives us fear and worry. And to get what it wants, we do not even hesitate killing other human beings. Booms. Just so that we can get their resources, like food, land, oil, and you name it. All for the survival and comfort of our body. That's right. Basically, all our wars are done for the survival and comfort of our physical bodies. Our big ego has now not only taken over our body, but also our psyche. It rules us. We have become a puppet of our ego. Remember what ego stands for? Edging God out? God, the source energy, has never forgotten us or given up on us. It has constantly given us guidance, inspiration, intuition via our soul, which some people call the sixth sense. But who is carefully listening to this guidance? Very few. Most of us have forgotten who we are in truth. We have given up listening to our inner voice that guides us. Instead, we are listening to our bloated ego, and subsequently, we are run by fear and worry. Nothing will change until we begin to remember who we are. That wonderful spiritual being that is imprisoned in this body that has run amok by our ego. And the more we know about the spiritual laws and use them, the sooner we can set this guy free, set our soul free.
Okay, family. So that video was by Hans Wilhelm called Ego Explained. So I will pause in case somebody has something they want to put on it.
Indeed. It just takes me to the whole conversation we had about being in hell. 'Cause, I mean, where else do all these things take place? And we keep reincarnating to come into times that are worse and worse in order to force us into either ascending to our higher self or missing this opportunity and staying trapped here to do this reincarnation process all over again. And a lot of times people voluntarily come back by holding on to things. Like, I have to find my soulmate. And you keep coming back over and over again, trying to find the soulmate. You never do. And all you experience is more heartache and pain. You suffer for not leaving. You keep wanting to come back. I mean, it's like old poltergeists when they figured everything out. They told Carol Ann not to go into the light. At first they were telling her to go in the light. And that's a mistake we keep making. We go into the light trying to correct things that maybe we should have just let go of. We've been here for how long now? I mean, how long do it take for us to figure out that the key to all of this is letting this go? Because everything that the body is taking us through is for the body.
Yep.
It don't want the soul to ascend. It could care less about what your soul wants. It wants to survive. It is the energy vampire. We keep pointing fingers at everybody and everything else as being energy vampires, and the very body that we're in is an energy vampire. Like you said, it makes us want to kill and take the energy of other beings. I mean, that's even if you're talking about plants. Plants have life. They've shown studies that a plant knows when it's about to be killed or whatever in the frequency chain. It's still taking the energy source from something else.
That's right. Very, very good, brother.
And I yield.
All right. Very, very profound, brother. Yeah, I liked how he went in and again talked about the attachment, as Brother Sean put it, to the physical body, and how it, as Brother Sean said, it needs to be constantly fed a certain type of, not a certain type of energy, but just energy, period. But the energy that benefits it. Okay. But what really hit me was when he said that the ego's original purpose was just to make sure the body got what it needed, but we became so in love, there goes that word again, love with the physical, that overcame the true self, which is the soul, and the needs of the soul, and the soul's purpose. So this next article that I'm going to share with the family, let me see, I thought I had it up. Yes. This is off of, it's called Notes on Bliss. And it's the difference between your soul and your ego. Okay. One of my biggest transformational moments in life was realizing the difference between my soul and my ego. It took me a long time and a lot of soul digging to get it. Here is my understanding. Your ego, the image you have of yourself, your social mask, the face you put on for the world, your titles and roles, girlfriend, daughter, brother, sister, friend, colleague, teammate. You can learn to spot your ego when your ego is in charge. You're often caught in circling thoughts, thinking about the same thing over and over. You're often consumed by your emotions, especially hurt, disappointment, and anger. Your inner dialogue is heavily focused on anxieties, fears, doubts, and self-criticism. I'm not good enough. I'm not beautiful. I can't do this. I totally messed up. I am bad at this. My life is meaningless. Your worth is dependent on external things, whether you've got a partner, a mortgage, a great job, a beautiful wardrobe, a huge circle of friends. You desperately need validation from other people. You're easily bruised when things don't go your way, people don't act the way you expect them to, people let you down, or people say or do things to offend you. Your ego is something you have to live with, but you don't have to listen to it or believe what it has to say. Try not to take it too seriously. It's not the real you. Okay, so those were all some things of you can learn to spot your ego when your ego is in charge. Your soul is your spirit / essence / true self. Who you really are deep down below all the labels, roles, expectations, and social masks. Something that doesn't change. You are born you, and you will forever be you. Your soul is inherently worthwhile. You are divine energy from the universe. Your very existence in this world is what makes you beautiful, valuable, and amazing. You can learn to spot your soul when your soul is in charge. You get a gut feeling about things, an intuition, an inner voice which guides you. You realize you love and you accept yourself deeply and completely. When your soul is in charge, you have burning desires and goals, but your sense of self-worth and happiness is not dependent on them. You are forgiving of others, and you are more easily able to accept people as they are, faults and all. When your soul is in charge, your preferences, desires, and ideas bubble up from within you, not from external influences like society and the expectations of others. You get a feeling of being in the flow, of losing yourself in something you love, like yoga, running, walking, painting, writing, sex, or cooking. When your soul is in charge, you often feel an indescribable connection with the entire universe, especially when you experience a sunrise, a starry night, sky, an old tree, or a quote that resonates with you. Everything feels effortless. It's like the universe is gently pushing you forward. When your soul is in charge, all the right people, places, and circumstances unfold in perfect timing around you. You feel free, fearless, and empowered to go after your dreams and build a beautiful life. When your soul is in charge, you understand your purpose in life is to follow your dharma, your heart's song, your own path, and to give your unique gifts to the world. Your soul is eternal and always present, even if you don't always feel it or pay attention to it. You can build a better relationship with your soul through stillness, meditation, spending time in nature, soul or journal writing, being open-hearted and authentic, and doing things more that you love. Learn to listen to your soul when it speaks to you. Trust in it and act on the advice it gives you. Your soul is a source of unconditional love, courage, and strength, wisdom, and happiness and joy. It can't be harmed by other people's opinion or external circumstances. It can't be harmed by anything. To be fair, it is incredibly challenging to dismiss the allure of the ego and be led by the soul. But even if you manage to tap into this deeper part of you a few minutes a day, your life will improve in many magical and beautiful ways. This is because even a teaspoon worth of love, wisdom, or courage coming from your soul is 1,000 times more powerful than a negative message coming from the ego. I'm going to read that again, because that's important to help keep ourselves in balance. This is because even a teaspoon worth of love, wisdom, or courage coming from your soul is 1,000 times more powerful than a negative message coming from the ego. Try and remember this, beautiful soul. Would you like to build a stronger connection with your soul? Okay. Anyway, that's them doing their promotion. My bad. Okay, so this article is off of a website called Notes on Bliss with Elise Santilli, the difference between your soul and your ego. Okay, so I will pause in case somebody wants to put something on it. If not, we shall move on.
Yeah, I do. The ego and the mind, the brain, which is a part of the matrix construct. So it's the thoughts that we entertain, which 9 times out of 10 are for the pleasure of the body. I mean, that's going off into the rabbit hole again, so to speak. All this information and everything, and people wanting to absorb every bit of information that they can, getting their degrees, getting their little letters behind their name, all for the purpose of the ego. I'm better than you. I have a degree. I live in a better neighborhood. I drive a better car.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that, it's just ego, and it's contrary to the soul. And what our true purpose here really is. The soul is a vessel of love.
Mm-hmm.
But ironically, the body is the one thing that we weren't supposed to fall in love with.
Mm. Wow.
I mean, that's just like when you change up a vehicle, you happy to have a new vehicle. But we scared to leave these bodies to renew our soul and be in a vehicle that can do much more than what these can do. We don't want to upgrade. We're stuck in that lower chakra. And as you were saying about the in-between place, we stuck in between the root chakra and the heart. The root chakra is red, but they've changed things around and got love in the heart associated with red.
Sure do.
When the heart was originally green. I mean, that's the frequency and everything love is supposed to vibrate on. It's not vibrating red. It's a low frequency.
Yep. Very, very good point. Extremely, extremely good point. Wow. Okay, family. So where I want to go next, of course, I have a quick video. Let me find it right quick from Brother Bobby Hemmett talking about the ego. He kind of brings it home again so we can be clear on identifying the difference between ego and what is your true, authentic self, the real you or your soul. So this is from Bobby Hemmett, and it's called Unveiling the Ego. It's only 3 minutes, we're close to 4 minutes long, and I got it off of the YouTube channel I've been telling you all about called Masterly Foolish. And they've been taking a lot of Brother Bobby's clips and some of Brother Panic's clips, and they chop them up on different topics and condense them down no longer than 10 minutes. So that's a great site to get some information from as well. So here we go. This is from Brother Bobby Hemmett on Unveiling the Ego.
It's evil.
Well, let me ask you this then, Bobby.
Yes.
You say the most evil force in the universe is your ego.
Yeah.
Now,
which is left. Which is left.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the questions I have for you, if that's the case, some of the most profound speakers, scholars that I have met, that I have seen, are egotistical.
No. Let me explain when we talk about ego. Try to understand this. The ego we're talking about is not the egotistical thing that you know of. That's just a guide down here that happens based on fear. The ego that we're talking about here is the false self. We must make this distinction. You have a spiritual self that came down here. Then you have a false self that came into existence that supposed itself to be real, but it's really not real at all. And it took the place of the real you that's asleep inside of your body. That's your soul. So most of the people here, most of the people down here, most of the people are asleep. But what is running ourselves as we sleep is our ego self, our false self. So now, but the ego that we're talking about as far as expressed based on human function, that's a different form of the ego. But one of the ways you get back to getting rid of that false self is humility. But so there's a difference in the ego with a person being egotistical, and the ego that I'm talking about is just your general life itself. That you suspect that you are the person you are, but in other words, you are a greater person than what you suspect. Because why? Because when you die, what happens to that particular person that you thought you were? It goes, you see what I'm saying? It dissolves or bounces around as thought forms or ghosts, but mainly your soul goes on to have other experiences. So that's the ego that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the ego as far as how we function based on traits of who we think we are. I'm talking about something entirely different.
So, Bobby, what about when people say the ego is also an entity? Like some people also classify it with the demiurge. Well, what do you have to?
That would also be the ego. That would be the false self. But this particular ego that we're talking about, that's the false self, actually thinks it's human, and its expression could be egotistical. But we're talking about just that's a whole other paradigm that we get into. We'll have to come back on that. But the evil. But my point here is this: we create the negativity and the evil from out of us, and we use concepts of the devil, Lucifer, and the dark ones as scapegoats for our own activities of evil that's innate in us, based on a fall from who we really are. You understand where I'm coming from here? So these particular, there was a movie called Revolver that came out with Andre 2000 was in it, Ray Liotta, Jason Statham, and in that particular movie, at the end, they was finding out that everything that was going on in the movie that people was thinking was actually evil was being created from their own mind. And that's the evil that we're talking about. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. All right, family. So that is off of the YouTube channel Masterly Foolish, and that was Brother Bobby Hemming giving more insight on to unveiling the ego. Okay, sorry, y'all. I got distracted there. Okay. All right. So I do have another article called esotericscience.org. And I don't even know, it don't have a date on it, but this is called The True Self, the False Self, and the Ego. Okay. The external world defines us by our name, gender, nationality, race, religion, height, weight, role, job, qualifications, etc. But these superficial descriptions are not who we truly are. If we look a little deeper, we may describe ourselves in terms of our beliefs, thoughts, moods, emotions, desires, interests, etc. But these things are transient. They change. They evolve. They come and go. They are not constant. So they cannot be who we truly are. So I'm going to say that again because that's important. If we look a little deeper, we may describe ourselves in terms of our beliefs, thoughts, Brother Sean, you brought up thoughts, mood, emotions, desires, interests, etc. But these things are transient. They change. They evolve. They come and go. They are not constant. So they cannot be who we truly are. If we look back over our entire life, we notice that one thing has remained constant over the years: our sense of awareness. Our awareness is the common factor that links our earliest childhood memories to the present day. Our awareness has experienced every event in our life in a seamless series of present moments. When we sense deeper into our field of awareness, we discover that it has qualities, attributes, characteristics, and a sense of identity that is far deeper than our personality. This is the essence of who we truly are, the true self. The self is a field of consciousness and a point of consciousness, which is the core of our being. Okay, and then it's saying refer to a figure at the bottom. Okay, it is the self is the center of our field of awareness, soul. And our field of awareness, soul, is an extension of our self. The self has two primary functions: directing our life, or the will. The self interacts with the world by directing our thoughts, mind, emotions, heart, and actions body. Okay, experiencing our life awareness directly is the self experiences life directly through its field of awareness or the soul. Indirectly, the self experiences life indirectly by perceiving our personalities, thoughts, mind, emotions, and sense body. So, just to make that a little bit more clear, it's actually trying to break down, it could have did it a lot simpler, between you recognizing your soul via consciousness rather the functions of the body, okay? And we talked about that before. So you have the thoughts, personality, and emotions that are closely tied to the body, but the soul part of you is intertwined with your consciousness. Okay, so these other elements, mind, heart, and body, are not our true self, but they are a key aspect of our being. It has been said that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. The self is the transpersonal spiritual element. The mind, heart, and body are the personal human element, and the field of pure awareness, soul, unites them all into a human being. The mind, heart, and body are essentially for experiencing life and functioning in the world. The mind is the home of our thoughts, concepts, and beliefs. The heart is the home of our love, emotions, and desire. The body is the home of our instincts, impulses, and actions. Like the self, each of these other three elements of our being also has a central core and a field of consciousness. We will focus on the centers first. The human brain is divided into three main sections: the neocortex, the limbic system, and the basal brain, which are associated with thoughts, emotion, and actions, respectively. The human body, excluding the limbs, is also divided into three main sections: the head, the thorax, which is the chest, and the abdomen, belly, which are associated with thoughts, emotions, and instincts, respectively. The Eastern traditions recognize three centers of energy and consciousness, which are located in the head: the upper Tantian, chest, middle Tantian, and belly, lower Tantian, or hara. The Sufi tradition recognizes three centers of energy and consciousness, which are located in the head, path, chest, and belly. So I'm going to go past that. The Enneagram recognizes three centers of intelligence: the head center, the heart center, and the body center. Theosophy and esoteric science recognizes three centers of energy and consciousness, which are located in the head: mental, permanent molecule; chest, emotional and permanent atom; and belly, physical, permanent atom. Refer to the Science of Spirituality by Lee Blandon for further details. For simplicity, I will identify the three centers by the physiological location. The head center is located in the center of the head between the temples. It is the mind's primary center of consciousness and its mental energy store. The heart center is located in the center of the chest, midway down the breastbone. It is the heart's primary center of consciousness and its emotional energy store. It is also known as the high heart, the soul seat, Barbara Brennan, and the assemblage point. The body belly center is located in the center of the abdomen, just below the navel. It is the primary center of physical consciousness and the body's vital energy store. Let me stop right quick. Anyone that wants to go into overtime with us, you need to dial in 929-477-3858, 929-477-3858. You have a little bit over a minute to go into overtime with us. Okay. Where was I at, family? Okay. The fields of consciousness surrounding these three centers pervade and surround the entire human body, but the majority of their activities is concentrated in the area surrounding each center. The self-primary field of consciousness, the soul or the causal body, pervades the physical body and extends about 40 inches beyond. The mind's field of consciousness, the mental body, is concentrated in the head, but it pervades the entire physical body and extends out about 24 to 30 inches beyond. So I'm imagining that he's really talking about your aura, okay? That aura of color that you can see around you, your energy field. Okay. The heart's field of consciousness, the emotional body, is concentrated in the chest, but it pervades the entire physical body and extends 12 to 20 inches beyond. The body's field of consciousness, the energy body, is concentrated in the belly, but it pervades the entire physical body and extends 1 inch beyond, 2 to 1 inches beyond. The mind, heart, and body centers are connected together for a seamless integration of consciousness, and the self can move its awareness in and out of them at will. Collectively, these three centers of consciousness constitutes the authentic person. I'm going to disagree with him, but we'll get into that once I stop here. I'm almost done. Just as the self operates through these primary centers of consciousness, mind, heart, and body, each of these three centers operates through three secondary centers of consciousness. The secondary centers are known as the seven major chakras. And they depict the relationship between the three centers, and the seven chakras. The chakras help to integrate the center of consciousness with the body's energy, meridian, and nervous system. The self integrates with the physical body through the following sequences. And so he's basically just showing like the self, and how the self, which is really the soul, is integrating with the chakras, the seven chakras centers, okay? So the seven being the highest, the one being the lowest, how your seat of your soul, your true self, integrates with the chakras, which are your energy centers, okay? We are not a self living within a body. We are a body, heart, and mind living within a self. Our body, heart, and mind all exist within the field of our self. Our body, heart, and mind only exist for a few decades within the eternal field of our own self. So sorry, family, he kind of went a little long. Shit, I could have summed this up in 2 minutes. I apologize. Shit, taking you down this road. He could have done a better job. So basically, he was just trying to explain the physical integration of the physical body, how the emotions each put out, each areas of the body tied to emotions, and how they have their own sort of energy fields that emit as well, and how the seat of your soul, who you really are, is intertwined with that and help that energy center, those chakras, function. Okay, so that's basically what the hell he's trying to say. So sorry about all that. Okay, hopefully he'll get better. If not, I'll stop. Creation of the false self. The previous sections describe who we really are, but that is probably not who we think you are. The I that we think you are is probably not who we really are. Unless we are self-realized or enlightened, we are asleep to our true nature. We have forgotten who we truly are. We live from a self-created false center of consciousness, which is known as the ego self. When we were born, our personal consciousness was, I don't agree with that. Okay, I'm going to stop because he's getting into full of shitness right now. Okay, so basically the purpose of me even bringing up this article is he is trying to link together the physical makeup of this vehicle, this vessel, okay, because that's basically what it is. It's just a physical vessel for who you really are, that divine soul energy to function in this physical realm. So he was also describing from a physical perspective on how yourself or your soul ties into that physical, and it kind of makes sense why we get bogged down and we allow the physicalness of the body to direct the soul. So meaning what the body wants, meaning that energy chakra center overrides what the soul true purpose and what the soul's true means are, okay? So when we talk about folks not balancing out their chakras, they're living in the low vibrational realm, which is like that root chakra. That's chakra number 1, the red one. That is what we're talking about. That energy chakra center field literally is driving folks to, that's all that they're concerned about, to feed. And when you're operating at a lower level, you don't even use the entire chakra system. You stop, the highest that you go is that heart energy chakra, which is the 4th level, okay, on down. So meaning you are either stuck in fear, lust, anger, all to serve the physical. And you're using the ego to keep feeding the physical vessel instead of being the authentic you, which is your soul. So I'll pause. Hopefully I didn't F that up too much. He kind of went off track with this article. Sorry. I'll pause in case somebody wants to put something on it. I had to stop because he was contradicting himself.
Yeah, they tend to do that sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, he was going off track. I'm like, no, that's not getting it.
I'd like to say something.
Sure, go ahead on, sis.
I'm kind of confused because it's a lot that they're saying. One is saying it's emotion, some saying it's spirit, some saying it's soul. As melanated beings, scientifically, they are proving that some of us have immortal cells. So,
and what do you think the immortal self is?
No, immortal cells.
Oh, cells. CELLS.
Cells.
Okay.
Yeah, they can regenerate very easily, and they never die. And they've taken cells from this. I guess her name was Henrietta Flack. And they've used her cells unknowingly to the family or herself, as far as I can understand,
right,
to make vaccines like the salt vaccine, and they are taking our body parts and giving them to other people even after we're dead. So what I'm just trying to wonder if they're using the super ego, the chakras, to more than likely define their selves, and just put this I've always said this earth, our shell is our earth shell, so we can breathe and live on this planet. But if we're immortal cells, that kind of changes the game a little bit, because when our cells are put in the ground, Mother Earth regenerates them as well, and the next person they create that comes from the earth has our DNA too. So it just continues the cycle of us coming back and coming back and coming back. So our personalities are always pretty much the same as when we left here. We're just supposed to be trying to do better at each round that we do. So I'm just trying to figure out where the definition of your personality comes in as far as the immortal cells and this finite person that we know exists on this planet as well. So that's why I was just trying to think on how that works. Maybe I'm off on another tangent. I don't know. But my mind jumped to her and her immortal cells that she keeps generating time and time again for the polio vaccine for other people, and how they take our melanin, which is ever-changing. It's ever-changing. It's a shift-shaper, metamorphosizing to all kinds of beings and things. And are we stuck in the id, the ego, and the super ego, or are we able to change from where we are? What is that science for us? That's basically what I'm saying.
I think you actually, I'm sorry. I think you answered your question yourself when you said that melanin is adaptable. Okay,
right.
So that answers the question about it being changeable. But now this is just my humble opinion. I think where the confusion comes into play is because, again, we're only thinking of it in terms of this physical realm.
Right.
Because melanin goes, it just is, okay? So it goes beyond this realm. It goes back to the source of the all within all. So sure, you have physical properties in this particular realm because you have that melanin essence gene, which is divine, that can regenerate and all of that jazz. But that's just one aspect in this particular realm. Okay, so now as far as how it ties in to you and to keep coming back, et cetera, that's all up to each individual's own journey. So meaning if, you have it in the seed of your soul because you are connected to this particular density, the physical realm, then you will keep gravitating back into this particular realm, if that makes sense. Or maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, it does make sense. But I'm looking at the melanin that can shift in a duality type situation. Right now on this planet. Right now during this experience, we change. I guess we should say change with the time, change with the day, change with the season. Because we are adaptable to the spiritual world right now, as well as the physical.
Right, I agree with you.
We kind of like live in both worlds, One minute we can be crazy as we want to be, and the next minute we're just as spiritual as we. That's what emotion, like in church, that brings that out of us. The church is really a good place where people get really spiritual until they walk out the door. But we were able to tap into it. So we can do, that melanin inside of us changes. Well, anyway,
I'm gonna shut up. But that's what I think.
And I'm gonna let Brother Sean go. But I think what you were just describing, now this is just Rhonda's humble opinion. I think that has more to do with ego driving that rather than the seat of your soul. But now that's just my opinion. But go ahead on, Brother Sean. I don't want you to lose your point.
But that's going back into her statement earlier about the DNA. That's the reason why they're trying to get our DNA now, because they want to see who's upgraded and what that could potentially mean for trying to help them out.
Right, because that's
considering all the things that they're going through, and it also takes it back into the fact that we no longer have natural weather. I mean, the sun wasn't their friend. So now after this eclipse, the sun heat doesn't feel like sun heat. It's just
no, it's not. It's a light.
Like heat from a light, yeah.
It's the artificial light.
I mean, but
absolutely.
You basically answered your own question.
I agree. She did. You really did.
I mean, you know how we say you just have to see how it applies to you.
Right.
Apply it to you, and you got your answer.
That's true.
Because you already brought it up earlier. You touched on it earlier, and now you summarizing it.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Totally agree. Okay. So, because we're in overtime, I do want to just real quick, because we started off talking about the different cults in the melanated community, in the conscious community, etc., and some of the traits of these cult leaders, etc., etc. And I just kind of also want to, not only is this about folks' ego being totally out of control, it's not even that their ego is unbalanced. It's to the point where these folks' egos, they are at the extreme cases, okay? And some of these cases of where folks' ego who is extremely out of order, we're getting into, and I'm going to use their textbook definition, either egomaniacs, and what I am seeing a lot of, and I didn't learn about this particular term until recently, but we are starting to see it more and more, narcissists or narcissism. Okay, and let me see if I can go into egomania. Hopefully it ain't a long article. I can summarize it up pretty quickly, because I want us to be clear on when people are operating out of ego, and particularly these self-proclaimed leaders, and how even their operation out of ego is extreme cases. All right. So this is six signs of an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. There is a phrase often thrown around that is used to quite colorfully describe many addicts of alcohol for some time. Being an egomaniac with an inferiority complex is a special type of personality based on practically opposite perspectives of the ego, often associated with alcoholics and addicts, okay? And so when we think of addicts, family, let's not just think about a drug addict. You also have to think about sex addiction. You also have to think about people that are addicts to wanting attention and feeding off of others as well. Okay, and so egomaniac. egomaniac is known as someone suffering from an obsessive preoccupation with oneself and applies to someone who follows their own ungoverned impulses and is possessed by delusions of personal greatness and feels a lack of appreciation. Inferiority complex is an unrealistic feeling of general inadequacy caused by actual or supposed inferiority in one's sphere, sometimes marked by aggressive behavior. So basically, an egomaniac with an inferior complex is someone who is obsessively preoccupied with their own unrealistic feeling of inadequacy, and it is safe to assume they behave aggressively and impulsively to overcompensate with delusions of personal greatness to mask insecurity. Some of the things, some of the behaviors can be exaggeration of things. So in other words, lying. They are big ass liars, so I got to break it down for y'all. Shit. This is technical stuff. Ridicule. Those who openly and frequently ridicule others and put down everyone around them in ways ranging from minor insults to extreme aggressive judgment can be showing signs of being an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. Fishing for compliments. Egomaniacs love compliments, and people with an inferior complex usually find it pretty easy to belittle themselves. Hypersensitive. People who seem too tense or sensitive to the opinions of others. A sense of they hate losing. And problems with paying attention. So those are just some of the classic signs of an egomaniac. And these are cases that you see in a lot of these so-called self-proclaimed cult leaders. The other one that I wanted to touch on real quick, because they also show these characteristics, are narcissism. Okay, and this is off of the Narcissistic Life. Narcissism or big ego, how to tell the difference. Most of us exhibit mild traits of narcissism. A certain degree of self-interest is healthy and will demonstrate good physiological health. Let me see. Okay. Other people demonstrate more moderate traits of narcissism. Some of the traits of narcissism, such as inflated sense of self-confidence, arrogance, and egotism, are frequently attributed to people with a big ego. But how can you tell if a person just has a big ego or if that person has crossed the line into the realm of narcissism? Some narcissists can function well. Narcissists can be great performers in their chosen profession because of their exaggerated sense of self-confidence. I'm trying to get to the this article. Okay, I may be not. Here we go. Diagnosis considerations of narcissism. A grandiose sense of self-importance, exaggerates achievements or talents, expects to be recognized as superior without commiserate achievement. Preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Believes that he or she is special and unique, feels that he or she can only be associated with special or high status people or institutions, or can only be understood by other special people, requires excessive admiration, strong sense of entitlement. Example, unreasonable expectations of favorable treatment or automatic complacent with his or her expectations. Is interpersonally exploitive, takes advantage of others to achieve his or her own ends, lacks empathy, is unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and need of others, is often envious of others and believes that others are jealous of him or her, demonstrates arrogant, haughty behavior and attitude. Okay, so those are some of the traits of a narcissist, which is the extreme case of an unchecked ego. And the reason I'm bringing up narcissism and ego, overinflated ego, is because these are the traits that the self-proclaimed cult leaders exhibit. Okay, so this is something that we need to be aware of. Anybody that is joining into some type of organization, you need to be real clear and aware when you see these signs. Okay, so you should automatically know what time it is and adjust yourself accordingly. Anything or anyone that tells you you must depend on them without, for any type of, to get you anywhere, you should already know what damn time that is and leave it alone. That is not having your self-interest at heart. Everything you need is within you. Point blank, plain, period. Anyone directing you outside of that, a red flag should go up automatically. Okay? More importantly, yes, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
But that also describes majority of Hollywood and entertainers, sports, celebrities, everything. And people are, basically setting their lives around these people. And
totally agree.
These people making millions of dollars, but they go in clubs and everything and get in free.
Yep.
And then they want to charge you more.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they want to charge you more because such and such is in the house. What, is such and such going to buy everybody something? I mean, is the tab on you tonight? I mean,
absolutely.
No, people pay extra money to see people with money.
Totally agree.
You go in debt to look like and go see this person that got millions upon millions of dollars, and you'll sit up and wait in line 48 hours to get a ticket, buy new outfits, everything.
Totally agree.
Somebody else's ego.
Absolutely. Looking outside of yourself, reflecting on that person's particular lifestyle or whatever you feel they are doing for you. And it's the same thing. You're right, Brother Sean, and thank you for bringing it up because it's still a harvesting of energy. It's still the exact same thing. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
Look at these people that give themselves away to these so-called celebrities or whatever, get pregnant, get diseases, then this whole big thing in the paper, oh, this my baby daddy, and this, that, or the other. All this BS to go along with it, and you didn't ever really know the person. You just liked the position that they were in.
Right.
Ego.
Ego.
I mean, it was for their ego. They wouldn't say, oh, I slept with such and such, or I was with such and such, or instead of the. That's for their ego, too.
That is true.
The whole while you're being looked down upon.
Mm-hmm.
I run you. You doing this because I'm me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Instead of looking at it for what it really is, and especially, from a woman's point of view, I just never understood how women can all be so fighting over the same raggedy motherfucker. I just never understood that, and to me, and and I just have to keep it real and be real about it. I'm like, you fighting over a community dick. So, I mean, and especially, in the situations of the celebrities, you fighting because that's a community dick at this point. That it is what it is. And even in the aspect of these self-proclaimed cult leaders or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, at the end of the day, that's community dick too. And it's a broke community dick. At that. Shit. That's just crazy to me.
Sister Rhonda.
Yes, brother.
Will the dog go back to his vomit?
No, not to my knowledge.
He ain't do.
A dog go back to their vomit?
No. Yeah, you should have a dog, honey. You'll see it. Yeah, we society conditions us to be egotistical. It's just like, I'm talking about a man. I ain't gonna call him what you called him, but he has his preference in certain looking women. Society, a man in the public eye, a man in the private eye, and he'll make that known in the community what type of woman he's looking for. Mm-hmm. This is why you get these. This is why you get these cat fights. And he'll make that preference known. And they will break down the plastic surgeon's door.
Won't they?
They will break down the best stores, the most expensive stuff they can get to attract themselves to this man. Because this man has made it known that I only want a woman with big tits, or I want a woman with a big booty, or I want a woman with blonde hair, or I want a light-skinned one, or I want a dark one, or I want. And that's what happens, because that's where the competition comes in, is because he makes it known. Just like a peacock, a male peacock is the one with all the beautiful feathers, but women think that they go out there and do all that stuff to be attracted to the man. But he has a narcissistic ego.
Absolutely.
Because he's the big dog in town. And I'm almost going to use that literally, the big dog in town. And he wants to attract the women that he likes. So his friends, now this all goes to his friends. It don't go to the women. So his friends can see the eye candy that's on his arms, and he can say, look what I got. I'm one up on you. So, that's a narcissistic person. But we all have a touch, obviously, lately, because they are really going bad in this society with that kind of doings. Everywhere. You can see it on the soaps. You can see it in the movie stars. You can see it in your own home. This one girl comes in, she got longer legs than the one he just left out with. Whatever. It's really bad. It's a very bad competition for ego now. Really bad.
And the interesting thing about that, sis, it just goes to show you that that's all vibrating on the lower realm, okay? Because at that point you're operating out of a unbalanced root chakra, and the sad part about it, folks have sunk so low.
Yep. They buy into
I can't even say folks. Okay, I'm going to get on the women right quick. Women, some women, not all women, have sunk so low over the community dick. I'm going to keep it real, because at the end of the day, it's the community dick. Anybody can get it. That's the community dick. I'm trying to keep it real for you sisters that's out here fooling yourself, thinking you fucking special. It's the community dick. Okay? They go get butt injects. If I see one more celebrity with a lopsided or D-list celebrity, whatever the hell they want to call themselves, with a lopsided, leaky ass, I'm about to throw up. That's how low folks have sunk. Right. Folks putting wigs on their head to the point where they damn scalp is bald underneath because they can't even allow their scalp to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Prancing around for the community dick.
They got them so long that when they sit down, they sit on their hair, and when they get up, they pull their own hair out. So, it's just crazy because we are conditioned to decorate the outside man so that outside man can be attractive to the opposite sex, and some people with the same sex. I ain't going to leave them out of the picture because they can do some really tricky.
I'm sorry, go ahead, sis. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And your thoughts probably better than what I was about to say anyway.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just think that, it's at the point now that, again, you are seeing the separation clearly of, who is recognizing their true, authentic self versus who is stuck in the physical controlling or masking the true self.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what does it matter that you have big T, big A, big D? At the end of the day, how is that really defining who you really are? That is a classic example of what we talked about tonight, about letting the ego rule for what the body wants. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the authentic soul. That is the state of affairs of where we are. I'm sorry. Go ahead on, brother. Yes.
You can't leave out the credit card score. So many people that's into that, they can't even date you if your credit card score ain't a certain amount. Talk about ego.
Yeah, it's just way out of control. First it was, women that were gold diggers. Now you got men that be up in the women's pocket more. What you do for? Excuse me. So all of that are clear signs of the physical, feeding the physical more than who you truly are, your authentic self, your soul.
We're kind of prostituting ourselves now.
It is prostitution. Absolutely, it's prostitution. And whether or not you prostituting for some change, and what kills me is people want to look down on the streetwalkers that literally do sell their body, but they honest with the shit. Exactly.
They honest.
They honest with the shit. What's the difference between you trying to hustle some hoes, whether you a cult leader, you slinging dick, hustling some hoes, or whether you a woman with the injections trying to find the ballers? It's still a form of prostitution.
Right. Exactly.
Or whether you're a woman using your body to get the attention of a man, because that's the only way you could feel you could get someone. It's all still a form of prostitution.
Mm-hmm. But they doing it for the women too, and they got their little prosthetic devices and this, that, and the other. I mean, it's so many. It's
a goddamn shame. It really is. I mean, if they would put X-rays in the goddamn bedroom and let them bitches walk across that and print out, people would be surprised.
Even somebody going on a date is prostitution. Because you're using that person, and then eventually that person is going to use you even more. And he takes you out on 3 dates, 4 dates, 5 dates, 6 dates. You done prostituted yourself for a movie and a dinner.
Right. And just brace yourself if you order something beyond some motherfucking chicken nuggets.
Right.
I mean, this is the hypocrisy of it all, to the point where people are stuck in that lower realm, and the sense of the true self, who they truly are, they can't even see it because they're constantly trying to feed that root chakra. Okay, but all of these things are being shown to us because we are splitting off into the higher realm. And each individual being, each individual soul, it is their journey to walk whatever path they choose to walk. If that's the path they want to walk, that's their business. But the purpose of this show is for you to enter over and understand what truly the ego is, what is the ego's function, and how not to let the ego rule your authentic self and who you really are. Okay. So the last video I want to play is by Brother Bobby Hemmett, and it's off of Masterly Foolish. It's called Inside You. That's where your strength begins. So let me find it. Now I say that, I know it's got to be here. I look for it. Let me see.
It's there.
Yep, it's here. I got so many Bobby Hemmett videos now.
Now that they condensed, you can get right to the meat of it instead of having to sit through a 4-hour lecture.
Yeah, because I used to have to go through the whole lecture and then chop out the parts to play. So I really want to send a big shout out to Masterly Foolish. Although all of Brother Bobby Hemmett's lectures are fire. I'm not saying that they're not. I truly encourage folks to go back and listen to the entirety. But I do want to thank Masterly Foolish for making it easier for folks that want to bring forth this information to breaking it up in sound bites, because this is only 2 minutes. Bobby Hemmett, Inside You is where the strength begins.
No, 2, for the mere fact that you are doing it, this is your purpose and your meaning. You just got to take the shit more serious. What I'm trying to say is sometimes we hear, but we don't register. We don't process. So when I say you are the ones that are fortunate enough to tap into this knowledge when the whole world is crazy, you need to process that for a minute and understand the importance of that. First of all, the greatest thing on the planet is the knowledge of self and basically the knowledge of the universe. For the mere fact that you are even interested in this or remotely interested in this at this particular time when shit is going on crazy out here, it means that you are the special evolved beings. And so when I'm saying you need to process, you got to process that everything that you read in these books that you admire about the gods in the heaven and the gods in the universe, you must understand that that is nobody but you at this particular time. There's 2 realms of gods. That's the one that's dead, laying out like the body of Osiris, and there's the ones that's dead, but they're dead physically, as far as this physical body does not make them, they're not able to do the things that they once used to do when they were gods. But you are not dead mentally because you are rising up. And for the mere fact that you are trying to understand, you're trying to get this knowledge, trying to get this, and you're trying to understand the meaning of it all, that means your spirit is going through a ritual. You just take any adventure story. And they had to go and they had to fight this particular person, they had to fight this particular person, and at the end of the movie, they get what they're supposed to get, and they are glorified. That's what's going on with you now as your struggle. So we had the mystery system that was in the last days. You had the mystery system. But the mystery systems are now closed down. And now your initiation that you become God is in your struggle. So for the mere fact that you are catching hell and going through this struggle, it's a form of initiation. But you must understand that what I'm saying to you is that the ones that the whole world is looking towards at this particular time, first of all, they're looking for the black people on the earth, the last realm of the sphere of the Kabbalah. Let me put this up.
Okay. All righty. So that was, again, from Masterly Foolish website, and that is Inside You. That's where the strength begins. Okay, so I'm going to round out with how to balance the ego. We kind of talked about that already, that you have to know the real you, which is your soul, and make sure that you are in control of your emotions and your thoughts. Realizing, so realize that all existence and reality comes from within you. There is no one that can make you whole. So the final closeout, I want to say ego versus soul. Ego seeks to serve itself at the expense of others. Soul seeks to serve others while keeping one's self. Ego seeks outward recognition. Soul seeks inner authenticity. Ego sees life as a competition. Soul sees life as a gift. Ego seeks to preserve self while destroying others. Soul seeks to preserve others without losing oneself. Ego looks outward. Soul looks inward. Ego feels lack. Soul feels abundance. Ego is mortal. Soul is eternal. Ego is drawn to lust. Soul is drawn to love. Ego seeks wisdom. Soul is wisdom. Ego enjoys the prize. Soul enjoys the journey. Ego is cause to pain. Soul is cause of healing. Ego rejects God. Soul embraces God. Ego becomes a destructive God. Soul is an in-tune God. Ego seeks to be fulfilled. Soul is eternal wholeness. Ego is me. Soul is we. Ego is me at the expense of other. Soul is we while keeping one's self. So that's just my closing remarks on ego versus soul. I hope the family got a lot out of how to recognize what ego is, what ego's purpose is. And remember, the only purpose of the ego was to help regulate the physical body. Okay? The ego is to never outdo the authentic self. Anytime you see that happening, you know that there is an ego imbalance going on. Anytime that you are more concerned about the physical or the titles or the roles, the impressing of others, the looking outside of yourself, know that that is associating with ego, and you are out of balance, out of tune with your energy field system. Okay? So with that said, I'm going to go to my co-host to see for last thoughts and words. Sis, you have any last words for the family?
Yes, I like to just say that there are so many as Brother Sean say, energy sappers out there, vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And we as people, whether female or male, should think of our self-worth to the Creator of all. We are more valuable than anything on this planet, and anyone on this planet except for yourself. So you need to understand how much the Creator of all has put everything He had in the perfect self that you are. You don't have to change yourself to please anybody. You don't have to pretend you are somebody when you're not. You don't even have to fight for what you think is yours, because if you have to fight for it, it's not yours anyway.
That's right.
So you need to understand that the first thing you need to do is love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Love yourself, and then you will be loved. But you can't make anybody love you by changing who you really are. You have to love the self to radiate love out to others so they can be attracted to you. And love who you are, whether you're flawed or not. It's the best thing you got is you. So I would encourage anybody who's listening to this about the different egos, because I done ran into so many types of egotistical, narcissistic people. And you take a step back, you know who they are. And don't be used by those people, because that's what their goal is, to use you. They're not there to love you. They're using you for what you can do for them. And if you want to be unhappy, go that route. But if you want to find the real joy of life, love yourself. And with that, I yield.
All right. Great deal, sis. Great deal. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
Yeah. The ego. It is your downfall. You're supposed to be about the soul. You are the soul. But yet and still, the ego. One thing you can't let go of. Letting go is the thing that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Period. You have to let go of all these false illusions. You have to let go of the matrix. I mean, through religion or spirituality or so-called consciousness, your objective is to leave the body. You're not trying to take the body anywhere with you.
That's right.
So why not be focused on that journey that your soul is supposed to take? The body don't be left here. It's your soul that's immortal.
That's right.
The ego, that goes when you go. And 9 times out of 10, it leads you to your demise. Just something to think about. I mean, you with you all the time, so I don't see why you can't figure this out. You with yourself 24 hours a day. Don't matter what you're watching on TV, you still right there.
Yeah.
You got to figure out what's best for you. I can't tell you. Elro can't tell you. Sister Sandra can't tell you. Wendell can't tell you. It's your journey. And it's your ego is probably telling you to ignore half the stuff we present to you. But that's a conversation y'all can have a little later.
Indeed, Brother Sean, indeed. Brother Wendell, you have any last words for the family?
Hey, that's a news flash. That ego is a dangerous thing.
Yes, it is.
In my opinion, that ego has got something in tow that you can't recognize, and that's pride. That's what. That's what makes
I agree.
that's what makes it so lethal. is hiding their pride.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful. You got to deal with that ego. You got to deal with it.
That's right. That's right. Well, family, I want to thank you. We will be back next week. Okay, Brother Sean, we're doing the show on black magic. So I'm looking forward to this. So it's going to be off the chain next week. We're going to bring to some of you a lot of concepts on black magic. It's going to be totally different from what is put out there. Okay, so I do want to thank the family for joining us tonight. I want to thank my lovely co-host. So with that said, we are going to rock out with some music. Love you very much, family.
Love you too.